Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today we're going to take a look at mint on card vintage Star Wars action figures that sold recently on eBay. We got some Palitoy Tri logos, we've got some Return of the Jedi, droids, Ewoks, some early card backs, foreign stuff, kind of all over the map here. And I just want to say thanks to those of you that watch the channel regularly. If you're new to the channel, I try to provide price guides. Please consider subscribing. Leave me a like if you enjoyed this video. All right, so first of all, I thought this was a pretty good deal. I sent this out to my Patreon supporters. I'm not sure if one of y'all bought it or not, but this was an uncirculated 75 for the mini rig, the INT4 Interceptor mini rig in the Return of the Jedi packaging. $279. It was also make an offer. I don't know if somebody bought that or not, but I did send this out as a buy it now alert. Uncirculated for a vintage item, even though it's only a 75, feels like a pretty good deal. Feels like a pretty good deal at 280 bucks plus shipping. And that one did sell. Some others that I sent out to Patreon supporters. Anytime I see a coin offer where the card's in pretty decent shape, I like to send those out. I feel like anytime you get a double offer like this, where you get the Anakin offer sticker, as well as the Boba Fett Power of the Force coin mail away offer on the same card back, plus all the Kmart stickers. This thing, there's so much going on this card back. I just love the way it looked. It was listed for 200 bucks. I thought that was a pretty fair deal. It's hard for me to gauge on some of these, the condition, just given how busy it looks, but just at first blush, it looked fairly clean for the 21B medical droid. This was a 65 back double offer, 200 bucks. And then the same seller also had another double offer for the Anakin, with the Anakin and the coin for the Emperor's Royal Guard. And this one was on the 79 back, and it wasn't a clear blister, but it was pretty close. It was a pretty close clear blister. That one was listed for 300 bucks. And I feel like ERGs have gone up a lot in price. And, anytime you get one that's fairly clear like this, and I feel like the 79 back for the ERG is not one you see very often. Maybe it's just my imagination, but I feel like it's either the 65 back or a 77 back, but very rarely do you see an ERG 79 back plus the double offers. I thought that was a pretty cool item at 300 bucks. Here was a Darth Vader 65A clear blister. This was sold by CIB. It did have, some issues with it, which is why it wasn't great. Anytime CIB lists something that's not graded, it means that it's got some condition issues. That's just what I've found over time. You can see the card there at the top has some pretty major, wear or creases to it. Probably at best like a 70 grade. But, they had a close-up here. I didn't see a crack anywhere. Maybe right there on the right-hand side in the front, there could be a crack there. But, I don't see a major crack on the blister, although they did include kind of a close-up of it. Let's see if there's any comment there about it. It does have some edge wear, a little bit of stressing. Top of the card bubble is clear, but there is a ding in the lower. So they just showed a picture of the ding. But the stressing on the card, I think, is why they didn't grade this and just sold it as is and sold for 300 bucks. Take that for what you will. Maybe a 75. I don't know. Just depends on how harsh they are on that crease. Here are some really nice high-grade Tri-logos that sold in an auction from the same seller. I don't know this seller, but there were some beauties. They all had the blister support too, which is nice. This was a CAS 85 Nikto on the Tri-logo card back, $351.90 on that one. This was a CAS 85 8D8, again with the blister support. That one sold for $366. We just saw an AFA 90 that sold for stupid money that CIB had at auction. I don't remember the exact price, but I want to say it was around $1,019. I know that sounds exact, but that's the first number that popped into my brain, and it's probably pretty close. I don't know for sure, but it was around that price point for an AFA 90. CAS 85 for, let's call that about 36% of the price. I'd take that. That's a pretty good deal. Pretty good deal on that. Next up was the CAS 85 AT-AT Commander. I had this in my What to Buy video about 2 weeks ago. And that one did sell for $366. Another pretty fair deal relative to what you often see these go for when they're AFA graded. And this one looks every bit of an 85 to me. It's a very, very nice, clean example. A little bit of, wear around the hang tab, but otherwise very, very clean and clear blister. $366 on that one. On to Gold Star Tech. I know I show this seller a lot, but in all fairness to me, They have a lot of really nice items, and they're all at auction. And I like to show auction prices where possible versus buy it nows, because it really gives you a bare bones bottom of the price, range for those particular items. Usually buy it nows are going to go for more, right? They're going to be sellers that are patient, but auctions, I think, give you a better indication of true fair market value on the low end, and it gives you a price target to aim for if you're looking for this particular item and you happen to not see them. This was an AFA 80 for the Luke Skywalker and Battle Poncho Last 17, unpunched, no price sticker. Very nice example. 80, 80, 85. That's an item that I would love to have had in my collection. $630 is a pretty good deal. That's a good price. I feel like AFA just sold one recently, and I don't know if it was an 80 or an 85, but it sold for more. But I thought $630 was a great deal. Great deal. That's even less than what I expected it to go for. I was thinking like maybe $700 on the top end. So $630 for an AFA 80, pretty good deal there. Here was a beauty. This is the Guerra Stellare Italian Harbert card back, 12 back A for Vader. And this one was ungraded, but included a star case. I didn't really see much wrong with it. It's a little tough with their auctions, this particular seller's auctions, because they don't include a lot of photos, but it looked super clean based on the photos. I mean, there was one on the top right, you can see a little bit of edge wear there, or a little, faint crease there. Probably, I would guess, a 75 for the card, 80 or 85 for the blister, 85 for the figure. And this is a beauty on these Italian Harbert Guerra Stellare card back. So 1691.66, and that's kind of in line with what you'd expect for that one. I just thought that was a great deal, and a price I'd pay in a heartbeat. They also had a 20 back E for the Power Droid, and you're looking at that price going, why did it sell for so cheap? Well, it's because they tried to pull off that black sticker on the back, and you don't want to do that because it causes this kind of damage to it right here, that you can see. But 20 back E, it should have had that, blacked out sticker on the back. Should have left it, because otherwise a very clean looking card and blister, if you ask me. 218.27. This is kind of a budget friendly item. This was the 20 back E Boba Fett offer for the Luke X-Wing. And again, same issue there, where they tried to pull off that sticker, unfortunately, instead of just leaving it alone. And that one sold for $315. So, again, these are not grade worthy. These are just kind of items to slap in this acrylic case, which, when this seller does sell them in the acrylic case, they send it in the acrylic case, which is really nice. Great display piece from the front, maybe not so much from the back, but you're getting it for about, a third of the price, 30% off, or, 60% off of the price. Here was an AFA 75. This one was a 32 back B for Leia Bespin, and no gold neck issue or green neck issue there. This one was the crew neck. Target price sticker, and kind of half unpunched there. You can see the punches hanging off a little bit there. $515 for an AFA 75, probably about right. You can probably get an AFA 80 for $650-ish, somewhere in there, maybe $700. $75.90 for the blister figure 80. So very nice blister on that one for $515. They also had an AFA 80 for the 41 back A survival kit offer Jawa. Unpunched, no price sticker. That one was a beauty. $677. It's probably fair. It's not a price I'd pay, but I do feel like Jawas on the ESB card backs are very popular, because for whatever reason you just don't see them maybe as much. And the Jawa on the 41A is the most common, but occasionally you'll see them on some other ESB card backs. But just in general, I feel like the Jawa on the ESB card back is a little tougher to find than either a 12 back or, going to the 65 or 77 backs. So there's that window in there where some characters were maybe just produced a little bit less. And I feel like Jawas on ESB card backs were one of those. The Power Droid on the ESB card back is another one that you don't see that often. So that's another one that I think that if you see one on ESB card back for a reasonable price, to grab that. But that one did sell again for $677 for an AFA 80. AFA 75 plus on the 48 back C for Han Solo Bespin. No price sticker, punched example for $533. Not a terrible deal for a clear blister there. Higher grade, I definitely would expect $700 or $800 minimum. I just feel like Han Bespins are very popular among collectors, especially on ESB card backs. Great card image. Everything about it was really nice there. So 533 on that one. And then on to some Power of the Force. We had a ungraded Ben Kenobi that was in pretty decent shape. Probably about a 75 just based on my cursory look at it. 371 on that. I thought that was a pretty good deal. So maybe the market decided it was closer to a 70. There was a lot of card wave to it. But the blister didn't look like it had any cracks to it. But 371 seems like a pretty low price for a Ben Kenobi, but probably in line, I guess, with ungraded examples. High-grade examples, they can easily approach that $800, $900 number. AFA 85 for EV99. This was a punched example with a Toys R Us price sticker. That one sold for $495. I thought that was a particularly good deal. The EV99 seems to be going down in price. We documented that one on Hakes that one of y'all picked up. That was a clear blister with a yellowed inner tray that sold for a very cheap price. So for whatever reason, EV99 is definitely dropping on the Power of the Force card back. And now's a good time to pick one up if you've been looking for one. It just seems like prices have dropped 25, 50%, or maybe not 50, but 20 to 40, somewhere in there, percent over the last 6 to 9 months. So that's one to keep an eye out for. If that's a hole in your collection, now's a really good time to grab one. Some Droids and Ewoks figures before we wrap things up. Gold Star Tech had the Thal Jobin ungraded U.S. card unpunched for $209.50. Good deal. This one I thought was a pretty fair deal. Maybe even a little high, actually. I mean, this one was a 75 plus. Tig Fromm, obviously these are made in Mexico, so the blisters stay clear. Unpunched, no price sticker for $717. Although we did see one that Heritage had that might have been a 75 grade that sold for like $660 before taxes. So it was kind of in line with that number. I think it was a pretty fair deal. I mean, you know, AFA 80s, for a while there, they were going like 900 to 950, and maybe they've pulled back just a little bit, but 717 is probably about right, just relative to that Heritage sale where you got to factor in sales tax and things like that. 75 grade for the A-Wing. One of y'all said that this was a relist, but I did want to at least show this. AFA 75, the Droids A-Wing is a pretty desirable card back. I think the last time it sold around $14.50 based on one of y'all's comments. This one did sell for $12.47 for an AFA 75. So it resold, but for less. It sold for $12.47 on that one. And we also had some Ewoks, AFA 85 Dulux Shaman. Price sticker, KB Toys price sticker, punched example. That one sold for $305. And then the big one is Wicket. Wicket is always a very desirable one. I don't know if he was a made in Mexico. Figure made in Mexico. So that is a made in Mexico figure. And that's why the blister tends to usually stay clear on it. But that was a pretty one. Not graded, but it did have some sticker residue in the upper right, unpunched example. But it's always a pretty expensive character, even loose, ungraded. And that one did sell for $540, which to me feels like a pretty fair deal relative to some higher grade, AFA graded examples will approach $800 sometimes. So for an ungraded but in very clean condition, maybe a 75 plus is my guess. $540 seems like a pretty fair deal there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at recent Mint on Card sales. Thank you as always for watching. Please leave me a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll be back soon.